Welcome to my channel Truth Drama Stories. My name is Emily Carter. Tonight I am going to tell you a story about a girl who spent her whole life being treated like nothing, until one truth changed her name, her past, and her future forever. This story is about betrayal. It is about identity, and it is about the moment when silence finally breaks. If you have ever felt unwanted, if you have ever been told you were not enough, then this story will stay with you. It began on a cold evening in October, the kind of cold that settles into your bones and refuses to leave. I was standing barefoot on the kitchen floor at exactly 6:12 p.m. The tiles were freezing, but I did not move, because moving meant making noise, and noise meant she would notice me. Emily, my adoptive mother, Margaret Hayes, said from behind me. Her voice was calm, too calm. You missed a spot. I stared at the counter. I had already cleaned it twice. I'm sorry, I whispered. She walked closer. Her heels clicked slowly. Each step sounded louder than the last. She ran her finger across the surface. Then she held it up. There was nothing there. Still, she sighed. You really are useless sometimes. Those words did not hurt anymore. Not the way they used to. Because when someone repeats the same truth to you for 18 years, it stops sounding like an insult. Starts sounding like fact. Behind her, my adoptive sister Olivia Hayes laughed softly. She was sitting at the dining table, scrolling on her phone. Olivia was everything Margaret loved. Beautiful, confident, perfect, and I was everything she tolerated. Margaret turned toward her. Don't worry, sweetheart, she said gently. Dinner will be ready soon. Her voice changed when she spoke to Olivia. It always did. Warmer, kinder. Like she was speaking to someone who mattered. I turned back to the sink. My hands were shaking. I told myself it was because of the cold. But deep inside, I knew it was something else. That night was important. Margaret was hosting a dinner party. Important guests were coming, which meant everything had to be perfect. The house had to shine. The food had to be flawless. And I had to be invisible. I had been working since 5 a.m. Cleaning. Cooking, preparing. My feet hurt, my back ached, but I did not stop, because stopping was never an option. At 7:03 p.m. the doorbell rang. Margaret smiled instantly. That must be them. She walked to the door with perfect posture. She opened it with grace. Welcome, she said warmly. Her kindness was a performance, and she was very good at it. Guests filled the house within minutes. Laughter echoed through the living room. Glasses clinked. Voices overlapped. But none of them spoke to me. I stayed in the kitchen, exactly where I belonged. At least that was what Margaret always said. Emily, she whispered sharply. Bring the wine. I nodded quickly. I picked up the tray. My hands were steady. Years of practice had taught me that. I walked into the living room carefully. No one looked at me. No one asked my name. To them, I was not a person. I was part of the house, something that existed to serve. As I placed the glasses down, one of the guests spoke. She was a tall woman with silver hair. Her name was Rebecca Collins. She looked at me, not past me, at me. And who is this? She asked. Margaret froze for half a second. Then she smiled. Oh, she said lightly. This is Emily. She paused. Then she added quietly. She's adopted. The word hung in the air. Adopted. Margaret always said it like a warning, like a reminder. Rebecca tilted her head. She's beautiful, she said. Margaret's smile tightened. Yes, she replied. But she's difficult. I felt something twist inside my chest. I kept my face calm. I had learned how, because reacting only made it worse. I returned to the kitchen. My heart was beating faster now. I did not know why. Maybe it was Rebecca's eyes. She had looked at me differently, like she saw something, like she saw me. At 9:47 p.m. the party ended. The guests left slowly. Margaret stood at the door thanking them. Her smile never faded. But the moment the door closed, her face changed. She turned toward me. Clean everything, she said coldly. Then she walked upstairs. Olivia followed her. Neither of them said good night. Neither of them ever did. I stood alone in the silent house. The clock ticked loudly. I began cleaning. plate by plate, glass by glass. At 11:16 p.m. I finished. My hands were raw. My legs felt weak. But I was done. I turned off the lights. Then I walked downstairs. To my room. Except it was not really a room. It was a storage space. Small. Dark. There was no window. Just a mattress on the floor. I sat down slowly. The silence wrapped around me. This was my world. This was my life. And I believed it would always be this way. Until 3 days later. 3 days later everything changed. It was a Tuesday morning. Margaret was out. Olivia was still asleep. I was cleaning the hallway closet. Margaret had told me to organize it. Throw away anything useless, she said. I opened an old cardboard box. It was dusty. Forgotten. Inside were papers. Old documents. Most of them meant nothing to me. Until I saw my name. Emily Carter. My heart skipped. I pulled the paper out. It was official. Stamped. Government issued. My hands began to shake. I read the words slowly. And then, I stopped breathing. Because the name under Mother was not Margaret Hayes. It was someone else. Someone I had never heard of. Sophia Carter. I stared at the name. My chest felt tight. My vision blurred. That was not possible. Margaret was my mother. She had always said so. Hadn't she? My fingers trembled as I turned the page. There was more. A signature. A date. And one sentence that changed everything. Biological parent. Living. Living. The word echoed in my mind. Living. That meant she was alive. My real mother was alive. I felt something crack inside me. Not pain. Not exactly. Something deeper. Something waking up. For the first time in my life, I questioned everything. Footsteps suddenly echoed upstairs. My heart jumped. Margaret. She was home. I froze. The paper was still in my hands. My breathing became shallow. Fast. If she saw this, I did not know what she would do. I folded the document quickly. My fingers moved on instinct. I hid it under my shirt. My heart was pounding now. Margaret's voice called out. Emily. I closed the box. I stood up. My legs felt weak. Yes, I answered. She appeared at the top of the stairs. Her eyes locked onto mine. And for a moment, I felt like she knew. Like she could see the truth hidden against my chest. She stared at me carefully. Then she said one sentence. And I felt fear spread through my entire body. What are you doing in that closet? The house felt different that night. Not louder. Not quieter. Just colder. I stood near the kitchen door. My hand rested on the wall. I could hear their voices inside. They did not know I was there. I told you she will never find out, Sophia said. Her voice was calm. Too calm. Emily laughed softly. She believes everything. She always has. My heart started to pound. I stopped breathing. She is not strong enough to question us, Sophia added. She never was. Something inside me cracked. Not loudly. Not suddenly. Slowly. Painfully. I stepped back before the floor could betray me. My feet carried me upstairs without sound. My hands were shaking. They knew something. They were hiding something. And they believed I was too weak to see it. I closed my bedroom door. The small click sounded louder than thunder in my ears. I leaned against the door and slid down. My knees touched the floor. I stared at nothing. For years I believed their words. Worthless. Burden. Mistake. I carried those labels like chains around my soul. But tonight felt different. Tonight I heard fear in their voices. Fear does not exist without truth. I wiped my tears. Slowly. Carefully. Then I looked around my room. It was small. Plain. Empty. Just like they wanted me to feel. A single bed. A small desk. A mirror that showed someone I barely recognized. I stood up and walked to the mirror. My eyes were red. My face looked tired. But something else was there. Something new. Something awake. I am not weak, I whispered. The words felt foreign. But they felt right. The next morning, the house returned to its usual silence. Sophia ignored me. Emily scrolled on her phone. Olivia sipped her coffee like I did not exist. Nothing had changed. But everything had changed. I watched them closely now. Every glance, every whisper, every silence. They noticed. I could see it. Sophia avoided my eyes. Emily stopped talking when I entered rooms. Olivia looked nervous for the first time in years. Fear again. It gave me strength. Days passed. I stayed quiet. I listened more. I spoke less. Then one afternoon something happened. Something small, but powerful. Sophia left her bedroom door open. She never did that. Never. My heart started racing. I stood in the hallway. I stared at the open door. This was wrong. Or maybe this was right. My feet moved before my mind agreed. I stepped inside. Her room smelled like expensive perfume. Clean. Perfect. Controlled. Just like her. I looked around carefully. Her dresser. Her closet. Her nightstand. Then I saw it. A drawer. Slightly open. My hands trembled as I reached for it. I pulled it open slowly. Inside were papers. Old papers. Folded carefully. Hidden carefully. Picked them up. My fingers felt cold. I opened the first page. It was a hospital document. My name was there. But something was wrong. Very wrong. The last name was different. Not the last name I carried my whole life. My vision blurred. I blinked. I read it again. It was still there. A different last name. My hand started shaking harder. No, I whispered. My chest tightened. I grabbed another paper. It was another document. And another. All showing the same thing. A different last name. A different identity. A different truth. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. I froze. My heart stopped. I quickly folded the papers and placed them back exactly as they were. I closed the drawer. I stepped away. Then I left the room. Slowly. Quietly. Like a ghost. I returned to my bedroom. Closed the door. Locked it. Then I collapsed on the floor. My hands covered my mouth. Tears fell silently. All my life they told me I was theirs. All my life they made me feel unwanted. All my life they made me feel like a mistake. As maybe I was never theirs. The thought terrified me. But it also gave me something else. Hope. I stood up quickly. My breathing was heavy. My mind raced. I needed proof. Not guesses. Not feelings. Proof. I grabbed my old backpack from the closet. The zipper sound cut through the silence. I emptied everything onto the bed. Books. Old notebooks. Pens. Memories. Then I found it. An empty binder. Plain black. Forgotten. Waiting. Picked it up slowly. This binder would hold my truth. My hand stopped shaking. For the first time I felt control. Real control. That night I waited until everyone slept. The house was silent. The darkness protected me. I stepped into the hallway. Carefully. Quietly. Sophia's door was closed now. But doors do not stop truth. They only delay it. I opened it slowly. My heart pounded louder with every inch. I stepped inside again. The same smell. The same lies. The same secrets. I went to the drawer. Opened it. And took the papers. This time I did not hesitate. This time I did not doubt. I returned to my room. Locked the door. Sat on the floor. And started reading. Every word mattered. Every detail mattered. My eyes moved slowly across the page. Hospital name. Date. Time. Mother's name. But the mother's name was not Sophia. It was someone else. Someone I never heard before. Charlotte Hayes. My breath stopped. Charlotte. Who was Charlotte? Why did I never hear that name? Why did they hide her? Tears blurred my vision again. But I forced myself to continue. This was my truth. I would not run from it. I placed the papers inside the binder carefully. Smooth. Organized. Protected. My hands felt stronger now. My mind felt sharper. They lied to me. They stole my identity. They stole my truth. But they did not steal my strength. Not anymore. I grabbed a pen, opened the first page of the binder, and wrote 3 words. My real life. The ink looked bold, permanent, unbreakable. I stared at the words for a long time. Then I heard something. Footsteps. Outside my door. I froze. My heart jumped into my throat. The footsteps stopped. Right outside. Silence followed. Heavy silence. Then Sophia's voice whispered, "Are you awake?" I did not answer. I could not answer. My hands gripped the binder tightly. "I know you are awake," she said softly. Her voice sounded different. Careful. Afraid. I stayed silent. After a moment, her footsteps faded away. I released my breath slowly. She knew something. She suspected something. The time for fear was over. Now was the time for truth. I looked at the binder again. This was not just paper. This was power. This was freedom. This was the beginning of everything. I did not sleep that night. The binder stayed in my hands. My fingers rested on its surface like it was alive, like it could disappear if I let go. The darkness around me felt heavy. Every small sound made my heart jump. I kept hearing Sophia's voice in my head. "I know you are awake." She knew something had changed. She could feel it. And that made her dangerous. Morning came slowly. Pale light entered my room through the thin curtains. I had not moved. My body felt stiff. My eyes burned. But my mind was clear. Clearer than ever before. I stood up and hid the binder inside my backpack. Not under the bed. Not in the drawer. Too obvious. Too easy to find. I zipped the bag slowly. This was mine now. No one would take it. When I stepped into the kitchen, Sophia was already there. She stood near the counter. Her back faced me. She turned when she heard my footsteps. Her eyes locked onto mine. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she smiled. But it was not her usual smile. It looked forced. "Good morning, Ava," she said softly. Ava. She rarely said my name. Not like this. "Good morning," I replied. My voice was calm. Too calm. She studied my face. Carefully. Like she was searching for cracks. But I gave her nothing. Emily entered the kitchen. She looked between us. Her expression was tense. Olivia stayed silent at the table. The air felt sharp. Uncomfortable. Sophia broke the silence. "You look tired," she said. "I slept late," I answered. She nodded slowly. No accusations. No anger. Just observation. That scared me more. Because Sophia only stayed calm when she was planning something. I grabbed a glass of water. My hand stayed steady. Inside, my heart was racing. I left the kitchen without another word. In my room, I locked the door again. I opened the binder. Charlotte Hayes. The name stared back at me. I needed to know who she was. I needed answers. I grabbed my phone. My fingers hesitated above the screen. Fear whispered in my mind. What if I found nothing? What if I found everything? I typed the name, Charlotte Hayes, and pressed search. My heart pounded. Results appeared slowly. Then I saw it. A photo. An old photo. A young woman. She had soft eyes, gentle features, and something else. Something familiar. I stared at her face. My breath caught. She looked like me. Not completely, but enough. Enough to feel real. Enough to feel terrifying. My hand started shaking. I opened the link. It was an old article. Short. Simple. Cold. It said Charlotte Hayes died 20 years ago. Died. The word hit me like a knife. My chest tightened. I kept reading. She died shortly after giving birth to a baby girl. The room started spinning. Baby girl. Me. It had to be me. Tears filled my eyes. She died. She never held me. She never knew me. And I never knew her. Pain filled my chest. A deep, endless pain. But beneath the pain, something else grew. Anger. They hid her from me. They erased her. They erased my truth. I closed my eyes. I deserved to know, I whispered. The words felt powerful. For the first time, I was not asking. I was claiming. I wiped my tears. Then I heard a knock. Sharp. Sudden. I froze. Ava, Sophia said from behind the door. Her voice was calm. Too calm. Yes. I answered. She paused. I need to talk to you. My heart pounded. This was it. The moment was here. I looked at the binder. Then I hid it inside my backpack again. I opened the door slowly. Sophia stood there. Her face looked different. Not cold. Not angry. Afraid. Can we sit? She asked. I nodded. We walked to the living room. Emily and Olivia were not there. It was just us. Sophia sat down first. I stayed standing. She noticed. She sighed. Ava, she said softly, you have been acting different. I said nothing. She continued. You are distant. Still I stayed silent. She looked at my face. Searching. Begging. What is going on? She asked. The question hung in the air. Heavy. I felt something rise inside me. Not fear. Not weakness. Truth. I know, I said quietly. Her body froze. Her eyes widened. "K know what?" she asked. Her voice trembled. I took a breath. I know about Charlotte Hayes. Silence exploded between us. Her face lost all color. Her hands gripped the couch. She could not hide it anymore. The truth was out. You went into my room, she whispered. It was not a question. It was a realization. I did not answer. I did not need to. Her eyes filled with panic. Ava, she said quickly. You do not understand. My chest tightened. Then explain, I said. My voice stayed calm, but inside I was shaking. She looked away. For the first time in my life, Sophia looked small. Weak. I was trying to protect you, she said. Protect me. The words felt like poison. By lying? I asked. She flinched. It was complicated, she whispered. No, I said firmly. It was a choice. Silence followed. Heavy. Painful. She looked at me again. Her eyes filled with something new. Regret. Or maybe fear. She was your real mother, Sophia admitted. The words hit me like thunder. Real mother. Not Sophia. Never Sophia. Tears filled my eyes. But I did not look away. Why did you lie? I asked. My voice cracked. She hesitated. Then she said something that broke me completely. Because you were never supposed to stay. My heart stopped. What? I whispered. She looked down. You were temporary, she said. A responsibility. Not a daughter. Something shattered inside me. Completely. Irreversibly. I felt the pain spread through my chest. Every insult. Every cold look. Every cruel word. It all made sense now. I was never unwanted. I was never worthless. I was never the problem. They were. Tears fell down my face. But I did not hide them. I let her see. I let her see what she did. I was a child, I said. My voice trembled. I needed love. She said nothing. Because there was nothing to say. I stepped back. Away from her. Away from the lies. Away from the woman who stole my truth. I am done, I said quietly. She looked up. Fear filled her eyes. You cannot leave, she said quickly. I laughed softly. Not from humor. From freedom. Watch me, I said. For the first time in my life, I was not afraid of her. For the first time in my life, I was free inside. The binder waited in my room. My truth waited. My real life waited. And nothing would stop me now. I walked back to my room without looking at her again. My legs felt weak. But my steps did not stop. Behind me, the house stayed silent. No one called my name. No one tried to stop me. Because deep down they knew. They had already lost me. I closed my door gently. The small click sounded final. I stood there for a moment. Breathing. Shaking. Alive. Then I walked to my backpack and pulled out the binder. My hands ran across its surface. This binder held my truth. It held my past. And it would protect my future. I opened it slowly. Charlotte Hayes. My real mother. Not Sophia. Not this house. Not these lies. A strange feeling filled my chest. Pain and peace at the same time. I sat on the floor and stared at her photo on my phone again. Her eyes looked kind. Warm. Safe. I wish I knew you, I whispered. Tears rolled down my face. But these tears felt different. They were not tears of weakness. They were tears of release. For 20 years I believed I was worthless. But worthless people do not have stolen identities. Worthless people do not have hidden truths. Worthless people are not lied to this carefully. I was never worthless. I was hidden. And now I was found. That night I packed my things. Not everything. Just what mattered. Clothes. My phone. And the binder. Nothing else belonged to me. Nothing else mattered. I looked around the room one last time. This room held my pain. My silence. my broken childhood. But it would not hold my future. I stepped into the hallway. The house was dark, quiet. Sophia's door was closed. Emily's door was closed. Olivia's door was closed. For years I stayed behind those doors. Trapped. Small. Invisible. Not anymore. I walked to the front door. My hand touched the handle. It felt cold. Heavy. Important. I opened it slowly. The night air touched my face. Fresh. Free. I stepped outside. And I did not look back. The world felt bigger. Scarier. But honest. For the first time in my life I was not living inside a lie. I walked down the empty street. My heart pounded with every step. But I did not stop. Because every step took me closer to myself. Closer to my truth. Closer to my real name. The next morning I sat on a bench near a small building. My hands held the binder tightly. The sign above the door read Family Records Office. This was it. This was where truth lived. This was where lies ended. My legs felt heavy as I walked inside. The air smelled clean. Official. Permanent. A woman sat behind the desk. She looked at me kindly. "Can I help you?" she asked. My voice trembled. "Yes," I said. "I need my birth records." She nodded gently. "Your name?" I paused. The question felt bigger than words. "My name is Ava," I said softly. "For now." She handed me a form. My hand shook as I filled it out. Every letter mattered. Every second mattered. When I finished, I handed it back. "Please wait," she said. I sat down. The binder rested on my lap. My fingers pressed against it. This binder brought me here. It gave me courage. It gave me power. Minutes passed slowly. Every second felt like a lifetime. Then she returned. She held a folder. Thin. Simple. Life-changing. She handed it to me. "These are your records," she said. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was the truth. Clear. Official. Unchangeable. My birth certificate. My real name. Ava Hayes. Not Ava Williams. Not Ava Sophia's daughter. Ava Hayes. My breath stopped. My vision blurred with tears. Hayes. Charlotte Hayes. My mother. My real mother. Her name lived inside mine. She was never truly gone. She lived in me. In my blood. In my identity. For the first time in my life I felt whole. Not broken. Not unwanted. Whole. I held the paper against my chest. And cried. Not from pain. From freedom. Weeks passed. Life was not easy. But it was honest. I found a small room to rent. It was not perfect. But it was mine. Every morning I woke up without fear. Without insults. Without lies. I started working. Saving money. Building something real. Building myself. Sometimes the pain returned. Memories do not disappear easily. But they no longer controlled me. Because now I knew the truth. And truth is stronger than lies. One evening I sat by the window. The sunset painted the sky in soft colors. My binder rested on the table beside me. I opened it. The first page still said the same words. My real life. I smiled softly. Because now it was true. Completely true. I was not worthless. I was not a burden. I was not a mistake. I was Ava Hayes. And I survived. And this is why I am telling you my story. My name is Ava Hayes. This story is about truth. About identity. About finding your worth when the world tries to erase it. If you are listening right now and you feel worthless, if someone made you believe you are nothing, please remember this. Their lies do not define you. Their cruelty does not own you. Your truth is yours. And one day it will set you free. Thank you for listening to my story here on Truth Drama Stories. If this story touched your heart, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to Truth Drama Stories. Because every story deserves to be heard. And maybe the next story will help someone find themselves too.